Hey everybody, welcome to part 4 of my GMG reviews today on the Maelstrom. 5 videos today, man. Warhammer 40,000's new campaign expansion. This is the 4th video today, and it's going to focus on the Crucible of Champions and the last 2 detachments in this book, because they didn't get back to buy a model kit. And that is going to be the Freebooter Crew and the Mercenary Oathband. So we're just going to get those out of the way, because that's probably what people are actually looking for here. We've got a Freebooter-themed Orc army and a Leagues of Votaan army here that's all about the Hernkier and the bikes and stuff like that, all the mercenary crap. So let's start with the Freebooter Crew and the detachment rule. Here there be loot. At the start of the battle round, select one objective marker. At the start of the next battle round, they're your loot objective. Each time a model in an Orc infantry, mounted, or walker unit from your army makes an attack, you get sustained hits 1 if any of the following are true. That model's units in range of the objective that's loot. The attack targets a enemy unit in range of the loot. So basically, if you're trying to attack somebody who's holding the loot that you want to get, you get that bonus. And if you're currently holding the loot, you get the bonus as well. A neat variable ability, but again, it only works on walkers mounted in infantry units. So you got to make sure that you're using the right stuff. No vehicles. Sorry, not no vehicles, just no walker. Walkers are not vehicles anymore, are they? Yeah, they have like a toughness stat line. Anyway. And then our enhancements, the captain for your Warboss model only. He becomes a Freebooter captain. Once per battle round, at the start of the phase, you can select one friendly Orcs unit that was battle shocked and within 12 to be the bearer. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds and is no longer battle shocked because he breaks some heads. The beatings will continue until morale improves. A Git Spotter Squig, Orc model only, ranged weapons equipped with models in the unit have the ignore cover ability. That's a cool ability for freebooters, or for flash kits rather, with their guns. And then Bionic Workshop for a Big Mech or Pain Boy. At the start of the battle, roll D3 and compare the result to the list below. Until the end of the battle, models in the bearer's unit have the Bionic ability of either Bionic Legs, +2 move, Bionic Arms, +1 strength on melee weapons, and Bionic Bonds. Weapon skill goes up by 1 on your melee weapons. Neat. And then Razgit's Magic Map for Orcs only. After both players have deployed their armies, select up to 3 Orc infantry units to your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can set those units up in Strategic Reserve, regardless of how many units are already in Strategic Reserve. So basically, you get a Marauders map, like in Harry Potter, for your Orcs. Makes sense to me. All right, 6 strats, all worth 1. Bash and Grab. When the fight phase, target an Orc unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets enemy and objective, reroll the wounds. So bash guys that are holding stuff. Grab and Bash, because this is the way Orcs name things. In your command phase, pick an Orc unit from your army that's not Grotz, and it's in range of an objective. Until the start of your next command phase, the WA effect affects this unit, because you found gold. And then Board and Rush. When your movement phase, target an Orc unit from your army that has not been selected to move yet. Until the end of the phase, each time they advance, they go 6. Deck Fraggers in your shooting phase, 1 Orc unit from your army that's not shot yet. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit targets an infantry unit with a ranged weapon, they get Blast. And then Rolling Loot Heap in your shooting phase. Pick a Flash Kits unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot yet. They get Anti-Vehicle 4+ for the ranged weapons. And then finally, Crump and Run. In your opponent's movement phase, just after the enemy unit fell back, 1 Orc unit from your army that was in engagement range of them is the target. They can make a normal move up to 6 inches. So, yeah, it's a Freebooter-themed army. It's about targeting objectives. Again, this one could be really good because a lot of the Orc stuff isn't vehicles. That's good in the list. So I feel like this one might get abused a little bit towards the end of the edition for objective-based play. Just because standing in circles and pushing buttons, that's what this one leans into, and getting bonuses that are free for doing so. And then finally, the Mercenary Oathband for your Leagues of Votaan. They get ruthless reinvestment. They're spending their hard-earned dolly dues for mercenary work. Your Leagues of Votaan unit do not have the hostile acquisition or fortified takeover abilities, except as described in this rule. At the start of your battle, Leagues of Votaan units have the hostile acquisition ability. At the end of your command phase, you can spend 3 YPs. To do so, Leagues of Votaan units from your army lose the hostile acquisition and gain fortified takeover, or vice versa. So you can flip back those 2 rules just by investing YPs, and you earn YPs through your following things. First, Mercenary Prospector for a Cal only. Every time they destroy a unit with him and his bodyguard, you get 2 YPs. Metaphysical Brokerage for a Strategist model only. At the end of your turn, if the bearer is on the battlefield, you gain fewer than 3 VPs this turn. You gain an amount of YP equal to the difference. So if you just take a Memnir Strategist model, if you gained fewer than 3 YPs, you just get 3 YPs. So every turn, if that guy's on the table, you just get 3 YPs. I don't know why you wouldn't just take that one, so you can switch whatever you want. An Edikarn SB9 targeting implant from a Votaan model. Each time a model in this bearer's unit makes an attack, reroll a hit rolls a 1. Each time the bearer's unit selected to shoot or fight, you can spend up to 3 YPs. If you do so, until the end of the phase, each time a model in the bearer's unit makes an attack, the attack has sustained hits 1. And then finally, Asset Manipulator, Leagues of Votaan model only. As part of the command phase, you can spend 3 YP. If you do so until the end of the turn, while an enemy unit's within 3 of the bearer, subtract 1 from the objective control characteristic and models the enemy's unit. So a lot of like flexibility in just toggling your different, your hostile acquisition and fortified takeover abilities, and lots of other abilities you can unlock by using YP. Let's talk about strats. Auxiliary Contract. In your shooting or fight phase, pick a infantry or mounted unit from your army that hasn't shot or fight yet. You get precision. Optimal Expenditure. In your fight phase, pick an infantry unit from your army that hasn't fought yet this phase. Each time you use a stratagem, you can spend 3 YP. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, rerolling a hit of 1 and rerolling a wound roll of 1. If you spend YP, you roll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1 instead. So basically, you're able to, using this strat once unlocks the ability to spend that YP to get both or one or the other, right? And then Grand Artifice. It's 1 CP in your movement phase. Just after a Leagues of Votaan unit from your army falls back, that Leagues of Votaan unit needs to be the target, and they can still shoot or charge. Privateer Arsenal. Pick an infantry unit from your army that hasn't shot yet this phase. Until the end of the stratagem, each time you use a stratagem, you can spend up to 3 YP. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your army makes an attack, reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1. If you spend a YP during the strat, you can reroll the hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 instead, so basically both. So it's the same as Optimal Expenditure, except it's for shooting instead of fighting. I don't know why they didn't just combine those two. I guess it's so that you could use them each during a turn, which would make sense. And the New Horizons, end your opponent's fight phase, 1 Leagues of Votaan infantry unit from your army that's not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units and 1 friendly transport. If you're within 6, you can embark in it. So this is in your opponent's fight phase, you can just jump into a vehicle. Or Mobile Exploitation. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, target a Hernkin unit from your army. It's not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Alternatively, you can spend 2 YP and target up to 2 Hernkin units. They get to go back in strategic reserve. So they take off and start like digging holes in the ground so they can disappear. And that's these two. So this one's neat because it's about like resource management. Thematically, it leans into the mercenary thing. It does seem to give way too much agency to that ability of being able to switch back between hostile and takeover. But yeah, again, this is one that the sniff test by me feels like because it gives so much direct control, it could be abused. There isn't a lot about the Leagues of Votaan in this book. There is some stuff about the Freebooters. They get a call out at the end of Prince Iriel's section talking about what's going on with the orcs. So they do get a little bit of a yap about them, which I thought was cool because they're clearly there, right? There's always going to be orcs. And the fact that like they go across, the entire galaxy means that every once in a while, Huron will hire them to do some work for them. So I do like that that's in here. And they give some example of like who's done dealings with them, like the Black Star Bandits or Captain Goldtusk's Git Stompers. Yet of all the orc pirate kings in the Maelstrom, none is more famed than Admiral Sun Smasher, whose orc legend is once extinguished a star with the right hook from a gilded power claw. Sun Smasher's even taken upon himself to antagonize Blackheart at every turn. It's the good Admiral's belief that if he can defeat the biggest boss in the Maelstrom, he will rule the gear. So, a little bit extra stuff in there. Not really anything about the Votaan, like it's smatterings, but not the whole thing. So let's talk now about the Lair of the Tyrant Crucible of Champions. What is this? Okay, I'm gonna put my slightly cynical hat on here. This is just letting you play 40K the way we used to play 40K. All it does is give build options for units that used to have build options. So let's take an example of the Space Marine one. Hey, you can make a Space Marine captain. He's 70 points. There's no granularity in the point stuff. You just get to pick a gun to give him and a weapon and a cool ability. So first pick an archetype. I pick a champion of the chapter. He's a Space Marine. His abilities are he's got Crucible, Leader of the Moment. He's an Exemplar Warrior once per turn. When this model gets selected to shoot or fight, it can use this ability. If it does, each time the model makes an attack, reroll the wound roll. He's a leader. This model can be attached to the following units. Tacticus, excluding characters in Fly, Tactical Squad. And he's a champion of the chapter. That's it. If I also want, I could take a Librarian or I could take a Dreadnought, a Venerable Battle Brother. So he's got Dreadnought stats. He's got the Librarian stats. He's got Captain stats. This guy becomes a Psyker and gets the Veil of Time ability. So he gets Sustain Hits 1. If he uses a Psychic Test. And then this guy can also lead Tactical Squads. You choose a special him. So these could increase your point value a little bit, right? It starts at 70. If I take a conversion field, I get a 4+ invulnerable save. But you only get one of these. That's it. So you could take a Jump Pack and a Mark 10 Gravis Armor. You could take Jump Pack, Infantry only. You could take Gravis Armor. So some of these, there's no like point difference. Phobos Armor. Raider Pattern Bike for 15 points, Terminator Armor for 15 points, and alters your stats. And another ability like Adamantine Will, get Feel No Pain 4+, and Astartes Banner, you can make him an Ancient. Blessing of the Amasai, you can make him a Tech Marine. Litany of Hate to reroll when you make a melee attack, +1 wound, you make him a Chaplain. An Arthesium, Rites of Battle. So basically what this is doing is just letting you take the Space Marine champion stats and make any of the Space Marine characters. Buy him weapons. Again, there's really, you just get to select up to 1 range weapon, up to 2 pistols, and 1 or 2 melee weapons. And then Dreadnoughts get their own weapons, because obviously they get their own. And they get special weapon sets. And that's it. So there's our Space Marine one. We also get to pick different archetypes and specialisms. When creating a Astartes Crucible champion, you can also make that character a Dark Angels character, right? A Blood Angels character, and then they get their own unlocks based on the chapter. Space Wolves, Black Templars, and then you go to Custodes. So like Black Templars, Space Wolves, Dark Angels, and Blood Angels. Don't see my Raven Guard in here. Don't see my Ultramarines in here, although I guess the basic one's the Ultramarines. So you get 5 additional, you know, if we make miniatures for it, you can now make conversions for it for their chapters rules. Cool. Yeah, neat. Again, it's a lighter version of the Anvil of Apotheosis from Warhammer Age of Sigmar that basically just is like, hey, look, you used to be able to buy wargear for your characters and then convert them. You can do that again. For your Custodes, you get a Null Maiden, a Cataphractoi Exemplar, or a Guardian of the Throne. So it's basically like the Astartes, or the, it's not Power Armor. I guess it is Power Armor. The Power Armor for Custodes, the Terminator for Custodes, and Null Maiden stats. And then, again, you buy them specials, you buy them abilities, buy them weapons. We've got Sororitas, right? So we got Battle Sisters, Mechanicus. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm just flipping through so you guys can see if you've got your thing you're interested in. I'm sure you can pause and have a look. Militarum, Grey Knights, right? So all the factions are going to get one of these. And then in our cool color sections, we get blowouts for like, hey, look, here's how you convert a miniature. Well, yeah, here's how you convert a miniature. Yeah. Chaos Space Marines get their own. World Leaders get their own. Death Guards, Emperor's Children, right? All the Chaos Space Marine chapters. Chaos Demons, right? Gonna make a big patron. Demon Prince, Eldari, Drukhari, Leagues of Votan, Necrons, Orcs, Tau, and Tyranids, because you get node organisms, prime organisms, and macroorganisms. So like little to big for making big weirdo bugs. And then finally the Gene Stealer cults. And a data sheet for recording them. That's it. Yeah, and so really the example is, when do you use these? Well, each section of this book provides rules for creating a unique character for your chosen faction, called a Crucible Champion. Once you've chosen your faction, simply refer to the step-by-step process. I doubt these will be allowed in match play. Armed with the rules in this book, you can create unique characters to fight alongside or even lead your armies in games of Warhammer 40,000. They're ideal. If you intend to use these rules at the event, such as a tournament, check the rules for the event first to see if Crucible Champions are printed before creating your roster. I mean, it's so near the end, I doubt any tournaments will use these because we're so near the end of an edition. But that being said, like, yeah, it just takes you back to being able to make your characters customized again. I'm glad it's back. I'm going to say that right now. I'm glad it's back. The model kits don't support it very well. You have to buy multiple model kits, which is a crazy expense these days to usually get the pieces you want to kit bash something. They're not designed as modularly as they used to be. But like, it's an inherent part of this hobby is customizing and making your own little thing that is now representing the tabletop with your own little narrative and story. So I'm glad it's back. I hope 11th edition just has this as part of the rules and they start making model kits again that allow you to like use some creativity in your model building stuff. If Lego was just 6 pieces that came out of a box that you built one way every time, it would not be the most popular toy on earth. The reason Warhammer 40,000 was so popular for so long, and Space Marines in particular, was the cross-compatibility and the imagination building of customizing and building Space Marine model kits. The Space Marine miniature has been popular for almost 40 years because you could slap different arms from different kits together and make this neat thing. A lot like the Lego minifigure. So yeah, inherently, this needs to be back in the game. If this is just a dry run for making sure people think about it again, going into the new edition of the game, I'll be very happy. There's so much more to be gained by allowing people to express themselves in making these books. But at the same time, this isn't something new. This is something they took out intentionally and are now putting back in. And so I feel a little bit cynical about it because I come from a time where this book focused 90% of what was in it on the customizing of your minis and all the different things you could give people and a rudimentary point system for all the psychic powers and enhanced attacks and weird gizmos and model kit things that people could have, right? So like taking it out and putting it back just feels weird. And again, it's the part of this book that is the clunkiest to me because it feels like they're returning something we used to have and being like, oh, this cool new thing I made for you, where it's not very new. So there it is, part 4. We're on to the final chapter, part 4 of the Maelstrom, focusing on Crucible Champions, and the last 2 of the detachments, obviously in here, the Orks and the Leagues of Votaan. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you for the final component, which is playing 1,000-point incursion games and kind of legitimizing that point level of Warhammer 40,000 gameplay in the final installment of this review. So big thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Throw on a mash.